I had this moment where I had to look at myself and just believe that I could do this, and it changed everything for me. Just that confidence in myself, being a mother, being the wife that I wanted to be, being the business owner. And that's because I believed in myself all those years before, when it was getting very hard and the money wasn't coming and it was the middle of the pandemic and businesses were not spending money. And 2020 was such a defining moment for me because I actually doubled my business. I put my foot on the gas and I said, wait, those brick and mortars who suddenly have no idea if they're going to need social.
Welcome to the She Believes She Could podcast. I'm your host, Allison Walsh. Since 2020, this show has inspired thousands of women around the world to believe in themselves and take bold action toward the lives they're meant to live. Each episode brings you powerful conversations and practical strategies to strengthen your mindset, build your confidence and brand, grow your business, and protect your well-being, all while spotlighting stories of women who are making a difference and changing the world in their own way. I am so glad you're here. Now let's get to work.
What if a conversation could save a life? 50% of all mental health illnesses begin by age 14, yet only 1/3 of parents regularly discuss mental health with their children. And for those who suffer, research has shown it can take up to 11 years to get a diagnosis and seek treatment. Advent Health for Children and Heart of Florida United Way are teaming up to change those statistics. We're helping people take pride in caring for their minds by empowering them to join our new movement and be a mind leader. We've created tools and resources to support our community, encourage conversations around mental health, and help shape the next generation of mind leaders. The best part of this movement is that anyone can be a mind leader, and the more people join, the more they can lead others to follow. So with every conversation and every bit of care you put towards your mind, you can be a mind leader too. Learn more and join the movement at beamindleader.com.
Today's guest is Katie Love, founder and CEO of Love Social Media, a multi-seven-figure, women-led agency helping founders turn content into credibility and credibility into revenue. A former NBC News reporter, Katie traded the newsroom for entrepreneurship. She focuses on helping brands leverage storytelling, social media, and strategic communication to drive measurable growth. Today, she leads a team of more than 20 women and has helped over 500 brands build stronger digital presences and grow their businesses. Recognized as an Entreprenista 100 winner and leader of an Inc. Best Places to Work company, Katie is passionate about helping women succeed while building businesses that support the lives they want to live. Please welcome to the show, Katie Love. Well, Katie, I am so thrilled that you are here. Definitely a guest I have been looking forward to having on the show. So would you mind, before we jump in, just giving our audience a little bit more information about you?
I'm Katie. I'm the founder and CEO of Love Social Media. I started with $0, zero experience, and scaled to a multi-million-dollar agency. But at the core of it, I want to help women be seen on social. Everyone has a story to tell, and the goal is to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident and that we're packaging you up in a way that feels not just good on the outside, but good to you on the inside. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, I'm super excited to get into, the nitty-gritty around social, and you're going to share some tips with our audience, which I know they're hungry to learn and hear from you. But I always love to just know more about you and your founder story and where it all started, because you haven't always been doing social media. You were in broadcasting before. And so let's just rewind the tape and give everybody a little bit more context into where it all began and how you ended up doing this work.
Thank you for that, Allison. I was very focused on one career my entire life, and that was to be a broadcast journalist. I wanted to be, if you can imagine me in all my pink glory now, out in war zones and covering politics. And I just had this very specific vision of who I was, what I wanted to become. And I'm sure a lot of your ambitious women can relate to this. And all of a sudden, I found myself almost at the top of my game, working for NBC. I was moving all over the country. I was covering natural disasters, political elections, high-profile murder cases, and I was doing the thing I had always said I wanted to do. And all of a sudden, I looked around and I thought, I am miserable. I am unhappy. I'm not sleeping. I wanted so much more for my life. And I said to myself in that day, I'm going to make a change. I can change my life. I'm not stuck here. how do I do that? The first step is quitting my job for a sexist man who, and I talk about this a lot because there's, as a woman and a professional woman and a woman who shows up on TV, there's a lot of misconceptions of the glamour that goes into that. And I had a partner who's now my husband. We were both doing the same job, had the same experience. He was making $20,000 more than me. He was talking to the news director about storytelling and who he was going to interview that day. On the other hand, I was talking to him about shade of lipstick. Dresses should be tighter. I need to smile more. And I thought if I could build a life for myself where no man gets to tell me to smile more, I will be so thrilled. I will feel like that is successful. And so when I set out to build Love Social Media, I knew right away that I wanted to help other women in particular, especially build a life where you looked at the entire person. So we're both mothers. We're all multifaceted. And so when we show up to a job, we come in with all of those things. And so many times we have bosses who don't put us in a box and they don't look at the whole picture. So how do I build a company that looks at the woman for who she is, for the woman who wants to be able to go to the school play, but also wants to work hard to land the client? And those are kind of the women that I keep in my circle and how I built Love Social Media. That's just how I got there.
Yeah. Well, and I think, thank you for sharing that too. But I'm sure there's some women sitting there listening right now that are like, okay, I feel the same way that Katie felt. And I've been very honest about making that transition and taking the leap. It's scary though. So like, what are some of the things that you contemplated? Like, I'm sure there was some fear, maybe this like, who am I to build another business and all of that. So can you talk through the mindset side of it too?
Yes. I had so much doubt. I had people telling me, you're ridiculous. How are you going to do this? You don't have a business degree. I didn't even have a marketing degree. I had a journalist degree. But what I learned is the power of social media. So this part of it is sad, but during my last job, I covered a lot of missing children cases, which literally broke me. It broke me. But what I learned in those critical 48 hours when a child goes missing, that we have the opportunity to share their picture on social media and for it to get so much traction versus waiting for the 5 and 6 o'clock news. And I thought, wow, what a powerful tool. And this was 10 years ago, right? When there weren't a million social media agencies and not a million people saying, can we do this? But I knew that there was something special there. So I quit my job. I had no backup plan. My husband looked at me and said, okay, let's give it 1 year. We can live off our, 401k and finances. And I said, yes, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into coffee shops. I'm going to say, your social media looks like XYZ, and I think I could take it here. And Allison, I did it for free. I know it's not glamorous, but I did not have clients. I was hustling hard. And I know that there's also the hustle culture is kind of something you and I know about it.
We've lived it.
We've lived it. We've lived the grind. We've lived the long hours. And at that time, I was putting in so much time and effort, but it was paying off. And so if there's a woman out there who's thinking, how can I make a career switch? I want to do something else. I'm scared. Like I was right there. I was terrified. I had $0. I had no funding, but I made it work. I took a side job editing videos for a medical client. That was not glamorous, but it brought in some money. And then on the side, I continued to build to get more clients and believe in myself day after day and show up day after day. Even when I got so many no's, I had one person say, you're just cute and blonde. Like, what do you know about social media? And I thought, I will prove you wrong. Yes.
Thank you for throwing gas on my fire. Yeah. But it's hard. And I think too, in the beginning, you have to build your portfolio. You have to have proof of concept. You have to be able to demonstrate to the clients that you want to win that you can do it. And so sometimes you have to make some of those sacrifices and do some things for free, build up your client base, and then you can start to really crank. But I think so many times people are afraid to do the hard work. And I've had a lot of conversations around that of just, it's more of the reality check of can you create the life that you want, the business that you want? Absolutely. But there are going to be seasons of that experience that you might have to double down. You might have to work a little bit harder. You might have to make some sacrifices in order to get there in the time frame that you want, right? You can slow roll anything. But if you want to collapse time and really build a foundation for yourself to be able to jump, and like what you said, you gave yourself a timeline. You had a year, right?
Mhm.
So it's like you're going to swing it as hard as you can to make it happen, to be able to say like, is this something worth pursuing or is it not? So fast forward so everybody knows what you've built now, because you have built an incredible agency. You have 20 people working for you now? I mean, this is incredible. So let's talk about that.
Thank you so much. Yes, I
Yeah.
have 20 full-time women who are incredibly talented, some much smarter than me, by the way, because you want to hire people
Yep.
who are in their zone of genius, who know what they're doing better than you. We've worked with several Real Housewives, lots of celebrities, and hundreds of businesses at this point. And even though the money is amazing, the impact we're making, that's really at the heart of what we do. Seeing women who were so anxious to turn on their camera and hit record, suddenly stepping into their power, walking a little taller, showing up on camera confidently each day and reaching people that is in their target audience. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah, no, and I think the impact piece is something that we very much share as like a very core pillar, foundational element. Like this community attracts impact-driven women. Otherwise, it's ego-driven, right? It's either impact or ego. And we tend to find the most satisfaction and joy and experience coming from women who are showing up with intention to make a bigger difference in their industry and their business and their community and what it is that their message is that they need to share with the world. And so I'm sure you've just really enjoyed a lot of these women too that you've worked with. I mean, so let's talk about that, like just the evolution of it. And then I want to get into more on like the social strategy side. But how has that been, just growing your agency? Like, who do you say yes to? I'm sure you say no at times too. Like, as you start to get bigger, you don't have to take the coffee shop for free, right? Like you have the ability to say yes or no. So how have you been able to kind of navigate that and growing your business responsibly while also very much understanding you have 20 team members that you got to take care of? So let's talk about that.
And it's a lot of responsibility. When I look at the women who put their entire livelihoods in my hand, their healthcare, their 401k, everything. And at the beginning, I did say yes a lot. And I said yes, even though my gut would be screaming a little bit and say this would probably not be the right fit. I would look at what I'd built and I'd look at my goal. So now, having worked with billion-dollar brands, at the beginning, I had to remove all the ego. I had to work really hard. I had to put in the hours. People ask me all the time, how do I get 1 million followers? And they think it's this easy switch. It's the same thing for a business. You don't one day wake up and make millions of dollars, right? We put in the hard work, and making sure that over time I intentionally built something that felt like the place I wanted to be and the place I wanted to work at 10 years ago that didn't exist. That part has been so important to me. And so just thinking about that entire evolution of Katie, who started out scared and had 0 clients and $0 to what I am today. It's why I love talking on you're so incredible at talking about impact. You make so much impact on the women that listen to this podcast. And now that feels like my mission is, how do I teach other women to go for it, be unafraid, be unapologetically pink.
Yes.
Allison,
Preach.
this is one part of my story. So after having been in news for so long, where if you wanted a haircut, you had to check. If you wanted to color your hair, you had to check. And so I had this like perfect shoulder length, like very serious haircut. And when I started Love Social, I was like, forget it. I'm growing it long. I dyed the end of my hair pink because I felt like it was this pink rebellion. I started wearing clothes that felt like me, that when I stepped into them, I was like this other confident person who was already at the finish line, versus the nudes and the neutrals that just kind of made me not feel like the Katie Love that I wanted to be. So pink has been such a powerful part of my story, and I know you know this for personal branding. And so the best compliment I can get is someone who I bump into and they're like, oh, you're the pink girl on social. And I'm like, yes, my personal branding is working because, I love this color, but it's more than a color. It's who I am when in what I become when I wear the color.
It's almost like a battle cry. It's like, yes, I'm embodying it. Well, and I think you show up differently too when you feel great, and it does mean something to you. And it certainly makes a difference, and just the energy, right? And I'm a big believer in energy and being a magnet for the right people too. And you want people that are going to love that about you, right? Like you don't want people that are going to be super stuffy and like not into it. You want the people that are going to embrace it, that also feel, like they have their own essence clients too. So
And
it
I've
makes it
gotten a
more
lot of
fun.
advice over the years to tone it down, stop targeting just women. You're limiting 50% of the people that might want to work with you. And I said, well, if I'm for everyone, I'm for no one, right? So I'm going to double down. I'm going to lean into it. And I'm going to attract now the person that's an immediately easy yes, because they know what I'm putting out into the world. I hire women who have the same ethos, who have the same values and mission. And so we attract that person because we are so unapologetically putting it out into the world.
Yeah, you're truly embodying it, which is just, and it's refreshing. And I think it's also a confidence booster for the person that's considering hiring you when they know exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you love, right? The energy, the vibe, all of that matters when somebody is literally turning over their social media, their online brand to you to continue to propel their message and mission forward. So like it matters. It really does in who you select.
It's kind of like a therapist, I have to say. So the more we've done personal brand work, we started just on the brand side, service, product. And then I would look at the founder and I would think, oh my gosh, there's this incredible powerhouse of a woman behind this brand who no one knows about. She's not out there. She's hiding behind a keyboard. How do we make that person come to light? Because by the way, when the person behind the brand starts getting a little more light on them, you're going to see sales start to increase. You start to make more money. And so when we work with a woman who is maybe unsure of being online, who has kind of kept herself in the shadows, that's part of our evolution of working with us too, is how do we push you outside of your comfort zone just a little bit and then actually see the ROI in sales on the other side.
Yeah. Well, and I want to get into just founder-led brand conversation as well today, because it has never been more important for the founder to step out and be in the spotlight, because it's the trust factor, right? Like there are so many options and for people to consider, regardless of what industry you're in. But when you can build true thought leadership and you can really build out your brand, you can write your ticket pretty much where you want to go. And you are going to attract more of the right people when you're out in front. So let's talk about that, because I mean, that is something that we're both very passionate about. So have there been particular clients or situations or things that where you've really seen like that woman stepped out, she got more visible, the result on her company, her business, whatever it is that she's focused on? Do you have any stories like that you could share?
Absolutely. So we have a neurosurgeon. We're talking about one of the smartest women I have ever met. And so every day she shows up to work and she wanted to build something more. And so what we were able to do for her is not just give her the confidence to say things that maybe she would only have said to a girlfriend, but what we said is you need to have an opinion. And this goes across all of our clients. I don't want you rage baiting, okay?
Right.
We don't need all of that. But if you don't have a unique thought or something to say, social media is not going to work for you. If you show up and do vanilla content and you're kind of regurgitating what your competitor says, it's not going to go anywhere. But think about something that almost feels like a hot take.
What if a conversation could save a life? 50% of all mental health illnesses begin by age 14. Yet only 1/3 of parents regularly discuss mental health with their children. And for those who suffer, research has shown it can take up to 11 years to get a diagnosis and seek treatment. Advent Health for Children and Heart of Florida United Way are teaming up to change those statistics. We're helping people take pride in caring for their minds by empowering them to join our new movement and be a mind leader. We've created tools and resources to support our community, encourage conversations around mental health, and help shape the next generation of mind leaders. The best part of this movement is that anyone can be a mind leader, and the more people join, the more they can lead others to follow. So with every conversation and every bit of care you put towards your mind, you can be a mind leader too. Learn more and join the movement at beamindleader.com.
Think about something that maybe recently a client said to you and you said, there's no way that's going to work. That is where we see a lot of genius in the content itself. We have worked with a lot of medical professionals, which is interesting, but they have so much value to give. And so we have one, Dr. Mary Claire. She has over 3 million followers. She's a menopause expert, and she is the queen of knowing how to show up in a raw way where it feels like she's in her weighted vest, she's walking on her walking pad, and she gives you some really hard facts about menopause and teaches you all about HRT. And you're immediately hooked in because it's not someone who's sitting up straight and talking to you like a robot. It's someone who feels like they're almost sitting next to you on the couch. We have seen huge reach impressions, millions of views from her sitting at her kitchen table, her making a smoothie and talking. She has an incredible supplement that she barely has to sell because she drives all this value that when people find her content, they learn how smart she is, all the research she's done, and then they happen to find her supplement. She's been able to make millions in sales, but it's because she's shown up authentically to who she is.
Yeah. When I think today, especially with so much AI-driven content, digital twins, all of it, people want the rawness. They want the authenticity. And I also think it's a relief because there was a period of time where if it wasn't perfectly curated, there wasn't like a stamp of approval from whoever, but it just felt like everything was moving in this direction where you were losing the authenticity. You were losing that genuine connection. And the people that are winning right now are themselves, and they're not afraid to show up as themselves, which is permission to everybody listening to show up, like get out there. So, and start I love the hot take tip.
And you don't have to have perfect makeup or the perfect outfit. Yeah. We had one client who's in our community, the Love Club, and she said, Katie, I'm just not getting the views I want. And I looked at her content and I thought, wow, she is saying something really valuable. She's teaching someone something. What is the missing link? And then I see, well, she is perfectly sitting at her desk. She's talking very seriously. And I said, Michelle, what do you think about saying that exact same thing, but in your car? She's like, why would I get in my car, Katie? And I said, because let's just try it. I know it sounds strange. Tens of thousands of views later, because she said the same thing, but it felt more approachable. Like, oh, what's Michelle going to say? What is she sitting in her car doing? Yeah. And it allowed people, we talk about the 3 visual hooks. The first hook is the one that you verbally say. The second is the one that we like to see across your head. And then the third is actually, where are you? We have another client, Tamsin Fidel. She sits cross-legged in her closet. And it's an immediate visual hook. She's grabbing people from the first few seconds of, wait, what is she doing in her closet? And so just thinking about the 3 hooks that you need to help people grab their attention very quickly, but in an authentic way that makes you feel like you understand and know the person.
Yeah, it just breaks down the barrier. And to your point, the approachability factor is everything. And I want to feel like it's my friend, right? And that's who I keep coming back to. When I think about like the accounts that I truly follow, it's the ones that I feel like if they sat down next to me today, I would be able to have a conversation with because I feel like I've gotten to know them because they're not hiding anything, that it's not robotic, I think is probably the best way of putting it, which it makes a big difference. So what other tips do you have now that we're on the social side? Give us some goodies. I mean, I love social media. Not everybody does because I think they feel like they might not have some of the wisdom and the tips and knowledge to be able to execute well. So what other suggestions do you have for our audience?
The first one is to think of everything as content. And I know this may be uncomfortable, but when you go for a walk, when you eat a meal, when you do Pilates, I want you to just pull your phone out and let it sit there, because the everyday B-roll is where we are seeing so many views, because you can always save it for later. You can put the text on top. It's getting in that habit of being in this content mindset that so many of us just either pull out the phone, they don't know what to do with the content afterwards, or they never get videos. When they have an idea, they don't have anything to use. And so I want, first, number 1, get into the habit. Number 2, get the B-roll. And number 3, I'm going to tell you have to talk on camera. And do it in a way that feels natural. I want you to have good lighting. So make sure that a window is hitting your face and is not behind you. That might seem basic, but sometimes I
makes a big difference.
Makes a huge difference. Get your ring light, whatever it is, make sure you are well lit. And the second is your audio. You've seen mini mics pop up. That is something that can make or break someone wanting to scroll past your video. So we've got the visual, we've got the audio, and then think of your hook right off of the top. How are you going to capture people in? What are 3 things I can tell you as a seasoned social media strategist that no one else can tell you? Or what's something that you can say, I wish I knew this when I started my business. So those are the ways that you're really going to captivate people. The other thing I tell people when they ask, well, where should I be? What platform should I be on? And they get almost analysis paralysis, is think about who you want to reach and where do they live? What do they do? When they wake up in the morning, do they get on Instagram, or actually are they on LinkedIn? Is that the first place they go? Or does Instagram feel too polished? LinkedIn feels too corporate, and they're actually a TikTok girly. Okay, so we need to get in the psychology of who you want to talk to, and that's a platform you need to be on. And then the other tip I have is when people say, I know I should have been on TikTok, I feel like I've lost the momentum there. Where else can I be first? YouTube Shorts. YouTube is highly searchable with all of this GEO getting seen inside of ChatGPT. I think it's the place that I would really encourage most people to be. You're already creating these amazing reels and video content for TikTok. Why not get it up on YouTube Shorts? YouTube is still the #1 most used platform because people watch it for hours and hours and hours. And a lot of us put it as an afterthought when it really needs to come to the forefront.
No, that's great advice. Great advice, because to your point, you're creating it anyways. Maximize it. Don't get overwhelmed by it. But the analysis paralysis, I've heard that so many times. And, it is easy to get overwhelmed. But when you can dial it down and really look to your point of where are your people, what are they doing, and what type of content do they want, right? Like that's the other thing is that, I've seen so many people swing and miss on social because they're creating something that just isn't what their person really wants to consume. And it's like, you want to build connection. Of course, you want the expertise, the authority, the trust, all of those indicators, but you can do it in a way that is appealing to your people and be yourself in the process. Because the last thing you want is to attract the wrong type of person because you weren't showing up as the version of you that you truly are. And that's no fun, at all.
And fun is a key word there. And people can tell when it feels forced or it's not a place that you want to be. And so think of the things also, not just who the person you're talking to, but what do you personally enjoy doing? Does the B-roll concept work for you? Is talking on camera feel natural? Does that feel natural to you? The third thing that gets underutilized is the organic graphics and carousels. So instead of going, I know this is counterintuitive, instead of going into Canva and making something beautiful, I want you to switch your brain. I want you to get photos from the last 6 months and I want you to put it into a carousel. I want you to put organic text on it. We have seen our clients go majorly viral by just stripping it all back just a little bit. You can still use your colors. If my color is pink, I can still make the text pink. Make sure it's readable because sometimes we get a little too excited with the fonts and options that are available. And when you look at it, is it something someone can read in just a few seconds? And I want you to try that organic carousel because it's something that, first of all, the algorithm, if you see just the first slide, then they're going to push it back in and you're going to start to see the second and the third slide. Gone are the days of the single photo or single graphic. You should always have multiple options for people to slide through. You get much more engagement. The other mindset shift that a lot of people need is what makes a successful post. And some people think, oh, I didn't get any followers or I didn't get as many comments as I wanted. And they don't actually look at the saves and shares. And there's a lot of lurkers on social. We want them to come out of the woodworks and we want them to comment. But if someone sends your content to a friend, that means that they liked it enough that they wanted to share it, which is a huge metric that's important. If they saved it for themselves to refer back to, that's another sign of success. So instead of just pumping a ton of content out there, make sure you actually go back and look at the metrics because I find that a lot of the clients we work with get a little bit overwhelmed and they don't know what's working and what's not. And they're putting things out there and then they don't actually analyze the data. And even though I am not someone who's the best at numbers, I do know checking your professional dashboard, understanding what's working and what's not is really going to be critical to your social success.
Yeah, absolutely. And the saves and shares are huge. So, and that's something that early on when I was working on my profile, especially on Instagram, taking the time to go see who reshared, because it only notifies you if somebody @s you, but you can go into the 3 little dots, hit who reshared, and then I would go through and I would comment manually and just built engagement, and those individuals ended up following along on the account. It's amazing what happens when you treat every person that is utilizing your content as a human being and not getting so fixated on the massive numbers, the virality around it. It's every person that saves it, shares it, comments on it, you should say thank you to.
And
honestly,
Allison, you're really good at this. And this is something that I tell our clients every single day. To get the love, you have to give the love, which is that engagement. We can't expect to just post and ghost and then have this amazing engaged community. So one of my best tips is I go on a post that really worked well. I'll go through every single person who liked it, and I will go and give them 3 likes and 1 genuine comment. And then you start to see more followers, more people reciprocating when you comment than they comment on your stuff. The point is to be social, right?
Yeah.
So we have to build a community that's active, that loves our content, and is truly engaged.
Yeah, and it's not just kind of back to what we talked about. It's not just ego driven, it's impact driven, right? Like when you're only posting and ghosting, you're basically saying, look at me and bye, versus if you're on there to engage and support. I found the coolest people by doing exactly what you just said, or like what I was talking about with the reshared content. People that I ended up then like, going to their events or collaborating because I didn't know about them until they reshared something that I had posted. And then now all of a sudden we're actually social. Like imagine that. Like, and that's where you can just see beautiful things happen outside of just the metrics that I think so many people get overwhelmed by and obsessed with to a certain degree and extent. And it's kind of like always looking at what does success really look like on this platform for you? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? What's the purpose of being here? And when you can really stay aligned with that and show up to be able to bring that to fruition, it makes a big difference. So, well, I'd love to kind of take this conversation to a couple questions that we love to ask our guests that come on. So she believes she could means something to a lot of people. Popular saying, still can't believe we were able to get that name. But what does it mean to you when you hear she believes she could? Is there a defining moment in your life or something that happened where you did believe you could and you did?
Yes. So I'm going to take us back to May 2020 when I was having my first child during the pandemic, and I had lots of doubts that I actually believed in myself and could do this and could run a successful business and be in the middle of acquiring one of our largest celebrity clients and have a baby. And I had this moment where I had to look at myself and just really believe that I could do this, and it changed everything for me. Just that confidence in myself, being a mother, being the wife that I wanted to be, being the business owner. And I wanted to follow up with, after the 1 year my husband and I gave ourselves, I was out earning him. And a few years later, he was able to quit his job, become a stay-at-home dad, and that's because I believed in myself all those years before when it was getting very hard and the money wasn't coming and it was the middle of the pandemic and businesses were not spending money. And 2020 was such a defining moment for me because I actually doubled my business. I put my foot on the gas and I said, wait, those brick and mortars who suddenly have no idea of how to communicate with their clients and customers, they're going to need social. So I started showing up even more. I started building my business. And so all of that has led to the life I have today with 2 amazing, beautiful children, a husband who supports me in every single way and gets to be with our children daily. And it's not a life everyone has, and some people may think is unconventional, but it's something that really works for us.
It's beautiful. And it does work for you, right? Again, kind of back to your definition of success personally. And you've built that in relatively a short amount of time. Like you started that story was, 2 months after we started this show, right? And again, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted something different and something outside of what I was currently doing, and wanted to build something purposeful and impact driven, and believed in myself enough to do the thing, right? To start the show, to start to build the community, to start to work with amazing clients. And I'm just proud of us. So yay.
I'm so proud of us.
I'm proud
You're
of us too. So, but you did that. And I love the fact that you and your husband were able to create a life that, as you said, is not necessarily traditional in the roles that you play, but wow, it works. And he's been able to give you the confidence to go just spread your wings and fly too, which is so special. So can we just stop there before I ask you my last question? Because I think this is an important conversation. How did that kind of play out? Was it something that you guys talked about before? Like, how did you plan for it? Because that's a big move. And also how, like, the pressure of being really the breadwinner, right? Like there's another layer that comes with that too. So can we unpack that just a little bit more?
Yes. And never in a million years did I meet this boy from Pittsburgh and think that he would be a stay-at-home dad. But we had the conversation when we were moving from Pittsburgh to Miami, and he was looking at options. He was also a TV news reporter. We were looking at hiring help. My business was really growing and expanding, and if he wasn't going to do it, I couldn't do it, and we needed a nanny. And he just looked at me one day and said, what if we don't hire outside support and I'm the one that steps in with the kids. And I said, well, there's nothing better
Yeah.
than having
That's great.
a parent be there. And he said, well, let's try it and see if it works. And the road was bumpy. You know, when he wanted to buy a pair of shoes, he didn't know if he should ask me for it because I was the one making money. And so the financial part of what it means to have one person bringing in the income and the other one having a job that is actually way harder and should make more money than me, because being a stay-at-home parent is one of the most amazing and thankless jobs out there. And so we navigated that. We navigated opening up a bank account in Miami where the finance person said, well, what can I put as your occupation, sir? And he said, well, I stay home with the kids. And he laughed and said, so you're just like a homemaker?
Wow.
We navigated a lot of that.
Yeah.
Friends, family not understanding how could he have left his job as a TV news reporter, and people still asking him, when is he going to get a job? And in my opinion, he has a job and it's very hard. And he supports my business would not be making multi-millions of dollars if he wasn't home and I didn't have that mental load of wondering if my kids were okay.
Yes.
I had to switch a little bit. I used to be the one that handled all the doctor's appointment and the camps and everything. And so I had to, as so many of us do as we're growing our business, we have to let go. Yeah. We have to outsource. And so I was lucky enough to outsource to my husband, who now is at Stay at Home Dad on Instagram and is a little daddy influencer. So look for him because I'm really proud of him too.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you have to figure out what works for you, right? And we were talking about this before we hit record, but like when you feel like you're truly supported and you have whatever in place for you to be able to thrive, you can do your best work and you can show up as the best version of yourself when you're off the clock too. And like that's been so important. And also like permission to readjust what that definition is as you evolve. And I think sometimes we get so stuck on what we think success should look like or what we once chased as success. And you get there and you look around and you're like, wait a second, like this isn't what I thought this destination would feel like. So when you can look back at the journey, be grateful for it, and then redefine what it is, because that's the most critical piece. And we have so many women in this community. I mean, we just had our summit here. It was fabulous. And so I would say the largest percentage of women in the room were those that were reinventing or going through some type of a transition or ready to just rewrite their story to a certain extent. And I just want those that are listening that are in that same place, like this is just your sign to go for it and to rewrite the story, to redefine your success, to rewrite what your definition is, and to play full out and build it, because you don't want to look back 5 years from now and say, I should have done that back in 2026. Like you want to be able to say, I laid the groundwork, I committed to myself, I showed up and I did the thing every day, and look at what I built. And that's what I hope for everybody that's listening today.
Allison, you're inspiring me. Like, what more can I do?
Well, let's go. But this has been so wonderful. But one of the other questions we love to ask is, you've obviously been exposed to so many brilliant, amazing women and incredible people. Who inspires you? Who else should we be being influenced in a positive way by? Obviously, we're all going to go follow your husband on Instagram, but who else like is in your world or your ecosystem that we should also be inspired by?
Well, it's a guest that you have had on here. Her name's Stephanie Carton.
Yes.
And in 2018, speaking of social changing your life, I sent her a DM out of the blue. I never thought in a million years she would answer me and later become this incredible relationship of what it's like to build a business as a mom. She became a great referral partner for me. She's shown me what's possible. She helps women every single day inside of her own community. She's an amazing, inspirational woman. She talks about her IVF journey, what it's like living with MS. And so many of us are living with those hardships and we don't always talk about them openly. And so when you see a woman like that who is talking about the hard times, the good times, it's someone who inspires me and I think is worth a follow too.
Oh, she's fabulous. And we love Entreprenista. So what a fabulous community. And just to witness her growth, it's like she's the type of person that when you see her succeed, you're like, yes, like
go.
Keep showing us what's possible, and she's just a great person. And it's such a small world because I had met her, I had her on the show. Of course, like I'm a part of the Entreprenista community, like love everything that she had built there. But I serve as the chair for the National Alliance for Eating Disorders. And back when she had her social agency, she was the social agency for that nonprofit that I've been involved with for like 20 years at this point. That was a key factor in saving my daughter's life. And like, you just would never know like the webs in which we weave, and just continuing to show up and do good work in this world and follow your passion. I mean, she's another example of like reinvention too. I mean, she built something successful and used it as a launching pad for now what she's built with Entreprenista. It's just really incredible. Yeah. Huge fangirl, clearly, of hers. I'm so glad that you brought her up. We will link that episode in the show notes for everybody. But this has been so fun, Katie. Thank you for being here and sharing your story and giving us a lot of tips and hot takes too. So love that. I can't wait for everybody to start to implement. But where should they find you, follow you? I know you've got the Love Club. You've got all kinds of cool stuff that is available and accessible. So please share all the details.
So I'd love to have you send me a DM at Katie Love Social. I'll follow you back. Let's start the conversation. We do have the Love Club, just $59 a month. That's where I'm going live once a month. I'm talking about a different topic. We just did a big 1-hour session on AI, which is another huge topic we can talk about for hours. We send weekly trend reports, and at loveyoursocialmedia.com is also our website.
Awesome. We will link everything. And I'm just so grateful that we had this time. Thank you for making the trip to be in studio with us, and just appreciate the good work that you do in the world and helping to propel amazing women forward. So thank you for being you.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I am so grateful that you are here. As always, please continue the conversation over on Instagram at Allison Walsh, and make sure that you check out all of our freebies. If you scan the QR code, if you're watching on YouTube, or check out the link in the show notes, it will take you to a page full of resources and trainings and things to help you go farther, faster. And that is always my intention, is to help you continue to grow. And as always, I believe in you 1000%. And my goal is that you do too. Take care, beautiful. I'll see you next time.